Hey, what's up, dudes? My name is Peroz. Welcome back to more tutorials and more shit, more shenanigans, if you will. So continuing to upload tutorials every Friday. This one will be on basic effects that you can just drag and drop. And make sure you go and watch my other 4 or 5 tutorial videos I've done on just the process of making like a Call of Duty edit. Because you might not understand certain things that I'm doing here, or I won't be telling you certain effects because they were, you know, in that little series. So today the effects are just going to be basic, drag and drop, change some values. I'm going to keep it very basic, and then as we go throughout the weeks, I'll make them a little bit more advanced and all that good stuff. You'll see. Don't worry about it. So we'll jump straight into it, and I'll go. Where am I? Let's go left side guy or right side guy. Right side guy. Right side guy. All right. So this little edit I've done here a while ago for Glow Valley as well. It's Modern Warfare 2. It's all just cinematics and sync for the moment, with the couple of effects and like transitions, like this little scope effect here. So it's nothing special. It's just a little bit of a base for me to work with. So yeah, let's get into it. So let's just make a quick adjustment layer. And I'm just going to call this one B, because I'm going to start off with like a bunch of blur effects. So most normal people, when they hear blur, they assume just like, you know, the blur. But blur effects can be tampered with in such ways that they look cool. So we'll start off with that. And many of these will be plugins. I'll try to bring it up whether it's a plugin or not. But, you know, just join my Discord, you know. Just do it. I won't tell you why, but you should just do it. You'll find out why when you get there. So I'm going to start with something called Temporal Blur. So BCC Temporal Blur, which is a plugin. And this gives you that sort of like fadey look, where like it doubles up the frames a little bit. This is the only way I could describe it. And you basically just keyframe the amount of frames. So let's say as he scopes in, I want this to like start up. So I'll just go a few frames back here, make keyframe, a few frames forward, and change just like 1 or 2 usually. And then maybe we'll have it just like fade out. And I'll just like check some render bars like here and here, so you can really like see what's going on. So I do use this effect quite a lot, I would say. It's really good for like on beats, or like even like after transitions and things like that. And I realize you can't see like what effect I'm actually selecting, but you get to see this side of it, which is more important. So I don't really actually change like too much of the other settings. I mostly just change the amount. Like I always say though, editing, you got to play with lots of stuff. It's like a toy. You just got to play with it heaps. Like just have a project like this where you just flat out spam effects and learn what stuff can and can't do, and see if you like this or that. So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool effect. Could even like ramp it up so you can really like really see what it does. So it kind of like blurs all the frames. It's kind of weird. Anyway, we'll move on to the next one here. I'll delete that. So the next one will be, I've done this in my previous tutorial, but the camera lens blur right here is not a plugin, and it's this really like nice blur effect. It's so much nicer than all the other ones. So I would do something like this, for example. We'll go back a few frames, and we'll just keyframe 0. Go forward to when he gets into the scope, and make this like 15. And then have this like unblur like this, and repeat edge pixels. So like most things, I don't really change too much about the actual effect itself, unless I'm really looking for something like particular. But for something like this, will be pretty sweet. Let's check it out. See, not bad. Little blur, and then it comes into focus kind of type deal. Not bad. Alright, on to the next one. The next blur one, I like to call this zoom blur, but it's called like Radial Blur, or CC Radial Blur, CC Radial Fast Blur, or Radial Blur. I usually just go with the CC Radial Blur, I believe. And I changed this from scratch to fading zoom. There's also ones like the rotate. If I just turn this up to like 20 and turn the quality on to like 100, you see it. There's like the rotate one, which a lot of people use, the straight zoom, the fading zoom, which is the one I usually use, or centered zoom. Lots of different ones here. But yeah, I usually use fading zoom, and I would usually use this on shots, or like heavy kind of like build-ups with like good vocals. So if you go back 2 frames and go forward 2 and put this on like 20 and then come down here and just go 20. I actually like come over here and turn this down a bunch too. Turn it down to like 8. So then blow everyone up. Yeah, nice little easy-going effect here. See, even with the way the let me turn this down too actually. Just open this, open this, open this. We'll turn this down by like fucking 8 as well. So the way the vocals are going, I would probably like do this like this, so it sort of builds up into the that effect like that. Something like this. Obviously not perfect, but you get what I'm saying. Let's go to the next one. And this project file is a little bit laggy. I accidentally deleted the whole thing. That's fine. Other blurs that we have. There are quite a few blurs here on my little list, but those are the ones I use the most, I would say. Now we can move on to Twitch, which I did do in my other tutorials. So if we talk about Twitch, Twitch is a plugin, but there's downloads for it all over the place. Now this is like at least back in the day, this was your bread and butter if you were like a deathcore, hardcore kind of editor guy. So let me go through some of these. So you got the amount, it's the amount of the Twitch, and you got the speed. Usually, if you want like slow sort of Twitches, I'll put it on like 10 or like 8. For fast ones, anything from like 15 and above. So then you can enable these different effects that Twitch comes with. So you got blur, which will just blur every like few seconds. You got color, which will just color, like flicker color every few seconds. You got light, which will obviously light every few seconds. You got scale, which will scale in every so ever seconds. You can set the thing for it. I've never used time before, but slide is the usual one that you want. And I'll usually put light on as well. And then we go to operator controls, go light. I'll put this anywhere from like 5 to 10, 11. And then your slide, I'll just put down to 0 so we can see. So this is where you really want to be. So your slide spread is the amount that it spreads. You've got your slide amount, which is the slide amount. Slide twitches like every second. If you want it to go crazy, you turn that up. I usually leave it on like 1 or under. Some small occasions I'll put it up higher, and your slide direction is obvious. Yeah, right. And then you got the some other things that I don't really talk to with. Motion blur is the amount that it blurs. So put this on 0 to have no blur. I usually put this on like 50 or somewhere around there. Oh, autosave project. Thanks, man. And the RGB split, you got to be careful with this, man, because if you put this up too much, you're gonna have shit everywhere. So I put it on like anywhere from between 10 to 30, depending on like what I'm doing. So I know lots of people like to go up and down. So that'll be slide spread. So if we change that to 0, and then we change the slide amount to like 10, and it'll just go up and down only. And if we make the spread 0 and change this to direction to 90, it'll go left and right, which is pretty cool. So for example here, we'll change this back to 0. I'll put the RGB split on like 20. We'll keyframe the 0 on the slide, and we'll put this to like 5. Go 3, 4 frames forward. And it'll sort of just build up that shake. Maybe we can even like turn this down a little bit. Alright, hopefully this is a little bit quieter for you guys, because it's pretty loud for me. I don't know what it's like for you guys. Something like that, right? If you want to make it more intense, you definitely can. You put it on like 10. But then if you put it on 10, I'd recommend like putting the RGB split down like a little bit, because it's going to obviously have more RGB split the more shaking you have going on. Yeah, it's nice. And if you want it to ramp up differently, you can just ease these bad boys and just like, I don't know, like pull this bitch in here. Something like that. Maybe even like pull this out. Something like that. Or you could even like have it go off like on the shot. Like if we go back 2 frames, 0, forward 2 frames, 10, forward a few frames, whatever's. And we'll make the slide direction 0 and slide spread 0, so it just goes up and down. Which sort of works pretty well here because of the, you know, the jump shot. Something like that. Yeah, you get that. That's Twitch for you. Let me just rename this to GG so you guys don't get too confused. Next one would be Dissolve Luma. Now, Dissolve Luma is more of a transition type of effect. It's S Dissolve Luma, but I'm pretty sure there is not a plugin bullshit for this. So Dissolve Percentage, you'll see exactly what this is. This is how I do like my cool transitions into like the black backgrounds and stuff. And that's basically all it is. You just you just keyframe that from 0 to 100, usually like mask out the gun or something. Just that's pretty much that one. That's another one I like to use. Now this effect is like an old school one. So if you type up glow, and it is not a plugin, it's just straight up glow. I've had a few people ask me about this one, but it's like quite an old school effect. I call it like the glow scan. So you got your glow here, and you'll go to this one, original colors, change that to A and B. And we'll just turn this to 0, the threshold, and we'll just make this red. I usually make it red. And then if you change the glow threshold from 0 to 100, it'll go from A to B. Is kind of a way to look at it. And it kind of just like scans. That's why I call it just like the glow scan effect. I don't know if you guys want to see what this looks like in action or not. So if we put this on 100, so we can't see it, because 100 is off, I guess, and 0 is on, if you want to look at it that way. We'll just keyframe that. We'll just keyframe 0 down here. And I don't usually play too much with the other effects that we got going on here. You could definitely play with them. I changed it from the add, or the what do you call it, the layer mode. Yeah, there's a lot to play with here, but usually this is fine for me. Just trying to keep it basic. So if you guys want to see that in action, yeah, nice. And I'd usually follow it up with like a red flash or something like that. But that's my little glow scan effect. I'm sure you've seen that around if you've watched any of my stuff. Something else is a tint. Tint is used for a lot of things. I usually use it for the black and white, but you can do stuff like this and then like change like the layer mode to like soft light or like color burn or vivid light, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely when it comes to the layer mode or the blending mode, you can play around a lot with this stuff. This will change your effects drastically and you can come up with some pretty sweet stuff. But for me, I usually use this on like screen pumps. So if I go back 2 frames and I change the amount to tint to 0, I go forward 2 and I go like 50, and I'll combine this with like an exposure or like a blur or something. Not that you can really tell what it looks like here. But yeah, I usually combine it with a what do you call it? Yeah, like a blur and exposure and shit, like a flash. It doesn't look good here, but trust me, it looks quite good. You'll definitely take note of it in my edits now. It's very quick usually when I do it. You've got also, you have blinds, I think that's what it's called. Don't actually know how to pronounce the V word. I'm not gonna try. But blinds, these are a transition, but they can actually look pretty sweet for like sort of like glitch effects. So if you change the transition to like 25 and put the direction on to like 90 or like 10 even, change the width, make more of them, it makes like a really cool sort of like glitch effect. You can add some stuff onto this, like we could add wave warp, if I can spell wave warp. And then we can change this to noise. We can do something like that. We'll put this on high, we'll pin all the edges so we get rid of that black. You can do something like this. It looks pretty sweet. A little bit of an easygoing glitch effect there. So now that we're here, we'll just move on to straight wave warp. We'll reset this. So wave warp is exactly what it looks like. It's basically just waves. But this can look really good if there's like, you know, like the certain sounds of the guitar and stuff like that, or like a glitchy kind of sound in the edit. You could just have this shot for like 4 frames, something like that, and just go, You know what I'm saying? Check out my edits. I've definitely done this quite a few times. So unfortunately in the song there is no like sound effect for that, but yeah, and obviously you can use it for other things. There's lots of different modes here you can choose. I usually use noise, smooth noise, and cine, or sin, however the fuck you pronounce it. Yeah. Alright, next one, what else we got here? We got Pixel Sorter, which is a plugin. I believe it's a free plugin. I could be wrong. After Effects Pixel Sorter. Now this is pretty cool, especially for like hardcore editing folks such as ourselves. Kind of just, yeah, it sorts the pixels. I don't know how to describe it, but it's pretty cool to do some transitions, or when there's like a sick like guttural going on. You just there are a few different settings for this, so I usually just leave it on highlights, because if you put it on shadows, it'll affect all the shadows instead, and usually there's a lot more shadows, but just mess around with it. So I would usually go highlights, and if you want it to go to the right or left, you choose a row, and it'll go to the right and the left instead of up and down. You can change like the blending mode as well. XOR is pretty good. It's got that like grainy look to it. It looks really sweet. But that's Pixel Sorter. Remember to join my Discord if you want any of these per se. Didn't hear that from me. Alright, now we have Warp Repeat, which is, I think this effect is me being kind of lazy. I can't lie. If I learn how to spell repeat. Warp Repeat. It's a plugin. Now this one, you can use this for a lot of things, but I use it for an effect that's I'm just lazy with it. You can do like it's fine. I'm not even lazy. It's fine. So basically, we'll go to the shot. We'll from Z distance put that onto 1, and then when it hits the shot, you pull it back out like this, and then you just change like the opacity of the layer, and it does that like sort of I don't know what to call it. What do you call this shit? Fade shot thingy majingy. So it'll be something like this. If we put the keyframe with the actual value on it down here, it'll go that kind of fucking thing. So if we put this like way back here a bit. You know what I'm talking about? That sort of thing, the zoom fade thing. God, this video is gonna be goofy as hell. Let's put that back to 100 and undo the keyframe. Alright, what else we got? We got obviously exposure, which is super easy, not even plugin. I'm sure there's better things you can use, but I just use exposure because it's easy going. You just turn it up, 1, 2. Usually I got the value of 2. So if we go back 2 keyframes, go 0, add a keyframe, go forward 2 to the shot and add 2. And then we just put it like around there somewhere. It's just like a quick little blast on the shot, you know. No bad. What else we got here? We got the Cross Glitch, which is a plugin, and it's also considered to be a transition, but it is good for general like screen glitching. Now there's a lot going on here, and like I said, you can play with all of this because there's, you know, you can enable shake, you can play with the, like the squares and the RGB and all of these settings and like the damage and the blocks you're seeing. But I usually just grab those, turn it down to 20, and then sometimes play with the, like I'll turn like the shake off and like maybe the flicker because my composition already has flicker on it, and then maybe play with the block, make the block damage more intense or less intense, and it sort of just looks like this. And it's just like a really good effect to have if you just have like a little glitch somewhere. It's like yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty easy going. You just keyframe the glitch intensity here at the top. What else we got? How long we been going for? We've been going for about 20 minutes here, so we'll do one more. So this one is called Heat Distortion, and this one is pretty sweet. I like using this for like intros, like intro sequences. Sorry. And this one doesn't have too much going. It's pretty easy. So it basically makes it look like there's like a fire. You know how you got the fire and it's all wavy, and you get those like hot spots where there's like that little bit of blur. That's what I really like about this. So if you add like a fucking 4K like fire effect here or some shit, that works pretty well. So if I change the distortion to like 3 so it doesn't fuck the clip up too much, and heat amount I'll put to like 0.30, 0.3, and the heat bias is like, I think it's how hot or like how blurry. I can't quite remember. I need to find like a spot where it's actually blurring, or how many blurs there are. I can't quite remember. I'll turn this up. somewhere over here. Let me just reset this. So heat bias, yeah, it'll increase the size of the blur, and the heat amount will decrease like the actual amount of blur. And then noise scale, I put this on to like 150 or like 200. So it doesn't have like lots of little waves, they're kind of big. Wind speed, wind direction, pretty self-explanatory. Noise speed, how much the noise is going to move. You can even change it from like fire to smoke to incendiary. I usually just use fire because it's like the cleanest one. So you can imagine like, I don't know, like some kind of like fire or explosion happening like in the background of the clip, like a car blow up or something like that, or grenade or whatever. This is pretty sweet. You like mask the gun so the gun's not affected by it, and you just add heaps into the background, and there you go. You probably see me use this a lot in my like demo edits. I feel like it adds a lot when you put it on like a black background. If you ever like put this on a clip and the background like fucks up and goes all white, you just got to untick override alpha. And there you go. So I think that'll probably do for our first little, you know, easygoing like effects tutorial, because it's going for like 20 minutes already, and I didn't want it to be this long, but I definitely understand why it is this long. So the more of these I do, the more intense or advanced the effects will get. I really do appreciate all the feedback I get from this. I'm not sure how many people are actually doing this, but you know, I'm here, I'm doing it, I enjoy helping people, and I'll see you guys next Friday.